Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, hello everybody. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday. It's the day before Wonderfest. Wonderfest says it starts on Saturday and Sunday, but everybody knows it starts on Friday. And this is Wednesday. And I'm getting ready to pack up the car and hit the road. And I'm finally to the point where I think I can breathe. This is Lou's waiting to exhale moment. It's ugly and nasty and overcast and drizzly outside, which is going to make for horrible driving. But it also is probably the one thing that has saved my sanity this week, because it took a big to-do off of my list of things to do, which was to get the yard mowed before I left. And, it's raining, so I got an excuse not to. Not that I need an excuse. I'm a, normal, healthy, free white American man. I don't have to mow the yard if I don't have to. But you get social or neighborhood peer pressure to keep your yard mowed. That was taken off of my plate. So there. What I did on my summer vacation now, I want to put in some pictures and some footage I took of my recent trip. And the reason I'm taking this long to get around to it is because everything happens in May. It's just the way life worked. Everything's happening in May, and this is the result of that. Went to Japan, of all places, believe it or not. Went with my good friend Phil Siegel. Couldn't have made the trip without him. And if you ever travel with Phil, you'll know when you travel with Phil, you travel first class. You don't cut any corners, and I am eternally grateful for that. This all started, I would say shortly after Telford last year, shortly after November when we got back from Telford, maybe around the 1st of this year. Phil said, we were talking, and he said to me, where is our, what trip are we going to take this year? And he said, we no offense to the people in Telford, but we've kind of done that. And it's in November, cold and there's so much going on in November. What do you want to do? And I jokingly, and I underscore this, I stress it, I put it in italics. I jokingly said, well, I hear Japan has some pretty nice model shows. And I thought I would leave it there. I thought it was I thought it was it. Little did I know that started the hamster wheel in Phil's mind to turning. And he started working on it. And then we turned out that now this is where I'm gonna destroy a lot of Japanese names here. I'm sorry. Shikuuza. I'm like Wayne and trying to pronounce strategy. Forget it. It's the show in Japan. Yes, that would be a fun show to go to. When is that? Oh, it's in mid-May. Oh, crap. It's in mid-May. Why? Well, mid-May is the time that I am the busiest getting ready for Wonderfest. Wonderfest always happens at the end of May, 1st of June. Mid-May is to me what mid-December is to the elves at the North Pole. I am bouncing off the walls trying to get things done in mid-May. So a trip in mid-May, as much as, you can't pass up a trip when someone says, hey, you want to go to Tokyo? You go to Tokyo! But it meant that all kinds of things had to happen to make that happen. So, back up, I kind of put that on the back burner. It's like, well, as with many things in life, I'll believe it when I see it. It's one of those things where, it's nice. It probably won't happen. I've been involved with many projects over my lifetime that, start off sounding great, and then for one reason or another, they fizzle out. So I wasn't getting my hopes up too high. I just kind of let it sit. Well, it gets into later. It's into February and March, and the next thing you know, you need to confirm your flight. Excuse me. You need to confirm your flight. Okay, so it's going to happen. We're going to go to Tokyo. That meant everything I needed to do for Wonderfest, I needed to have done not mid-May, but the 1st of May. And so that I could, take this week and a half, 2 weeks out of the schedule. And to back up, and to tackle this from another side, you will recall that last year both Phil and I made our big Enterprise Ds, the 650 scale Helios D. Now, the eagle-eyed among you might recognize the fact that the last video that I shot for that I presented, if you were looking carefully, you would notice that the top saucer windows weren't as bright as they were when I was building it. I put the top on, and I had sealed everything up, and I was finishing up the painting and all that, and noticed that, hey, those lights, there's something not right there. Well, it comes to turn out there was there was a weakness in the fort. There was a right below the main port. There was a weakness, and a direct shot would blow the system. No, there was a faulty wiring, and it was causing none of the top windows. All of those LED strips that I put down, none of them were lighting. The lights on the bridge were still working, and the rest of it was all ambient light from the inside of the saucer. And there was much gnashing of teeth and much cursing, because I had epoxied everything down, epoxied the top of the saucer down. Well, this is where not epoxying it well enough kind of paid off. I had to crack the damn thing open. I had to open it like a clam. I had to pull the top of that saucer off, and everything that entails to fix the wiring. So I kind of pulled the saucer off, and there it sat. It sat for a month or so that way before I got around to steeling up my nerve to getting back in there and fixing it. Because that model is something that you kind of have to be in the mindset to want to work on it. You have to be thinking of it and nothing else, because there are so many blessed details on that thing. So, with May rapidly approaching, and me building other things and doing other models and doing all that, it came down to, Lou, you better do what you're going to do on that Enterprise before you leave, because there's not going to be time when you get back to fix it, to get it all fixed. So, cracked it open, fixed the wiring. It was a simple one-wire fix. Luckily, there was nothing more that I had to track down than that. But in doing so, I broke that joint at the back of the neck. Anybody who's built that model knows that is the most problematic joint on the entire kit. So I had, first time I'd closed that up, I sculpted over it and closed it up nice. Well, I had to go back in and crack that open and to get the saucer open. So I fixed the wiring, and then my goal was to fix it, re-epoxy it, re-clamp it, and set it in the clamps while I was in Tokyo. So they would have that entire week to heal and fix and, recuperate. And I'd done that. I fixed the wiring. I had resoldered the wire. I had re-epoxied all the way around, put out the clamps. I had built the dry dock, the traveling dry dock for it. I had done all that stuff, and I sat it in the dry dock so that it would be clamped up in that position while I was gone, and making the most of the time that I was not here. It was fixed, it was good, it was yay, and was happy. When I got back from Tokyo, first thing is I took everything out of the clamp. I had already put in the first layer of putty, and Tamiya putty and some other Bondo just to kind of fill that joint back in. So I spent this last week, and I finished just this morning with the final flat coat because I had to re-sculpt that back neck. I had to repaint it. Obviously, I had to. Luckily, I still had enough decals of lifeboats left over that I could re-decal it yesterday, or what is today? Today's Wednesday. I re-decaled it on Monday, and Tuesday I sprayed it with a clear coat. Today I flat coated it, and it's ready to go. It's back in the dry dock. It's going to be put in the car this afternoon. So that was job one. And then B, I had to get all the other kits that I was getting ready to take packed up, ready to go before I went to took the trip. And so that much was done. And then when I got back, I also had to do all of the stuff that I normally do in May, which is to fill orders, because Steve has an order. This year, Keith had an order. And these were things I'm going to be bringing to them at Wonderfest. So filling those orders and having the vinyl cutter going while the rest of the three-ring circus is going on, that made for this week. So adding on top of that the threat of having to cut the grass would have sent me over the edge. So I say all that to say this: I'm certainly glad I took this trip with Phil. I went out a few days early before our flight. Went to Universal Studios this time, and we took the Fan Fest night, but we took the VIP tour. And that was nice. Beautiful sunny weather. Got to see a lot of nice. What they have left of their back lot is nice. A couple of sound stages. The Fan Fest night was a really great bonus. We went to a Fan Fest night. Of course, my first inclination is to go to the Star Trek part of it, and I will tell you the Star Trek part of it is probably the weakest part of it. From a fan perspective, you can tell because Star Trek isn't what Universal does. Universal does Back to the Future, Universal does Jaws, Universal does Psycho, Universal does Harry Potter, it does Minions. Star Trek is, redheaded step cousin to Universal. And you could tell when you went to their Star Trek ride that it was kind of bolted on to the rest of the theme park. It didn't have a permanent residence there like the other properties did. So I would say that, despite the fact I love me some Star Trek, it was probably I got the least out of it that I did from the other things. I'll show you some, I'm going to put a bunch of pictures in here, and you're going to see, hopefully, some of the theme park nights. I don't take a lot of pictures. That's the other thing. I like to experience things. I like to remember things. I like to keep them private if I can. I'm not a big documenter, so I had to rely on Phil for some of his photos. Anything you see with me in it, obviously I didn't take. So Phil took those pictures. Anything with Phil in it, I probably took. The Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter's not my top fandom. I like Harry Potter fine. It's not my go-to fandom. I will say that the two Harry Potter rides, the smaller roller coaster, it's fine. It's not worth the wait. If you have to wait not in line for more than 20 minutes, it's not worth it. The immersive ride is definitely worth it, but make sure you've had all the children you want to have before you sit down in that thing, because they strap you in the way they, to hold you tight, because it's one of those immersive rides. And I was not prepared for how snug that seat was going to be. So, like I said, make sure you've had all the children you want. If you've ever ridden the Star Tours in Disney, it's very much like that. But it was worth every nickel. That ride, the immersive Harry Potter ride, not the little roller coaster. There were a couple other rides on that tour. opted not to go into because, we're getting old and we don't really need to be on a Mario Kart. Sorry, don't need it. But the tram ride and seeing the shark come out of the water, which is only really good if you're on the right side of the tram. If you're on the left side of the tram, you get to look over at people on the right side as they're getting wet. But seeing the back lot, seeing the Norman Bates house, things like that were fun. That was a great time. They had a Hill Valley experience where they had the courtyard laid out, and they had a DeLorean there you could get pictures taken with one of the stunt dogs. It wasn't Einstein by any shake of the dog's tail, but it was fun. So that we did the Universal stuff, and then the next day we got to the airport and flew over to Tokyo. And I will tell you that, I keep using that phrase, I will tell you. I'm sorry about that. It's a verbal tick I'm trying to get rid of. I will say that the Japanese culture completely lost on me. Apparently I have been made of Teflon. I absorbed none of it, didn't pick up a single word, couldn't pick up a single phrase, none of it. I can't remember how to pronounce any of the names other than Tokyo, Tamiya, and Godzilla. I think are the three Japanese words I learned. Bandai. Had a wonderful time at the. We went to the Tamiya. I won't say corporate office, but it was one of their stores downtown, and they had a nice selection of everything that you could. Every Tamiya product you wanted to bring back, you could. I was very conscious about what I was going to be bringing home, only because of what you can fit in a suitcase. I opted more for T-shirts and soft goods like that I could scrunch up and stuff in a bag, that sort of thing. Small trinkets. I didn't go too nuts with the souvenirs. There was a poster, and Phil knows this poster. I won't go into it. There was a poster I would have loved to have brought home, but I would never have been able to get it through TSA. I just never would have. I'd show you a picture of it now, but I would have to pixelate it and blur it so much that it could have been anything. It would look more like Van Gogh's Starry Night at this point with all the but it was a beautiful, beautiful poster. Inappropriate as hell, but I would have loved to have hung it in my house. We took the bullet train, not the really super fast bullet train, but a fast bullet train, up to the Shikuzuzu model show, where we spent a rainy day. It was a horrible rainy day there, but it didn't matter because we were inside. We had a wonderful guide with us, a kid that I call him a kid. I'm sorry, gentleman that Phil had made contact with, named Riley, who's Canadian but had been living in Japan for years, and was our eyes and ears and could interpret mostly for us what we were looking at on menus, and making sure we got on the right trains and the right bus, that sort of thing. He was fun and knowledgeable, and knew the kind of stores we wanted to go in. We didn't do any of the touristy, let's go to the Emperor's Palace, which is right there. No, we wanted to find the hobby shops and things like that. And Phil, who is such a tool guy, I don't mean to say he's a tool. Phil loves his tools. He loves a gadget for everything, and he likes finding the best tools for model making. God love him for that. I'm not that fixated, but he was in tool heaven, because we would find places that had paints and mixers and brushes and knives and scribes and wiring and all that kind of stuff, and he was in hog heaven. We went to this big model show. Now, I'll say that it was like the mirror opposite of your typical American IPMS show. Your typical American IPMS show, particularly on a national level, you will see a zillion tanks. You will see tank after tank after tank after tank. And then maybe on one table you'll see an Enterprise, a Millennium Falcon, an X-wing, a robot, a Gundam, if you're lucky. This was the complete flip of that. We went into a show that was a pretty hefty sized ballroom, or a big convention hall, not a ballroom, convention hall, and there was maybe 5 or 6 battleships or World War II planes or something like that. But then the rest of the room was Gundam, Gundam after Gundam after Gundam after Gundam, and some of the best work I think I've ever seen. But I have to say, after a while, it got a little samey. It got a little, okay, my eyes are starting to blur. I'm seeing robot after robot after robot, and it's hard to tell the difference. I don't have the cultural background to know which of these characters are which are the good guys, which are the bad guys. And I can still appreciate the beauty of the build, but it kind of blurred after a while. Now, I was lucky enough to find the masterful gentleman who made the Space Station 5, and I'll put some videos on here. That Space Station 5 was featured in a magazine. And we were able to get up and much like an IPMS show, this was a case where the people who made it, the artists who made these kits, were basically sitting right behind you, or they were sitting on a table, behind the table, and their models were out in front of them. So if you had a question, of course, I wasn't going to understand what they said. I had Riley with me, but can we take a picture? Oh, yes, please take a picture. And very gracious, very affable people, very happy to show off their wonderful work. The guy with the space station, oh, yes, take a bit. And he proceeded to rip it apart. He took the front cap off. He showed us the battery. He yanked it off of the stand. He showed us the motor. There was absolutely no mystery left about how this thing works, but gorgeous, and had the accompanying music with it and everything. And that was a highlight. It would, of course, every time I saw either in a model store or on the shelves, if I saw an Enterprise, it's like, I'm home. I see something familiar. I see an Enterprise. I see a Millennium Falcon. I see it, something like that. And it's like, oh, that's nice to see. I have more, my cultural itches scratched then. Tons of models with lighting. Oh boy. The answer to the question is, how many lights did you put in this model? Yes, all of them. That is the answer. I put all the lights in this model. It was interesting to see that Evangelion is still so big there. Neon Genesis, the show, is still so big there. Lots of representation from that franchise. That was at that particular show, but we also went to the Small Worlds Museum, which is it's a museum of quite a few elaborate diorama / train setups, where each one is its own little world, and they're fanciful worlds, they're realistic worlds, they're medieval worlds. There was a recreation of the launch pad at Cape Kennedy / Canaveral, the one in Florida, Saturn V launch bay or launch site. But there was a huge depiction of Neo Tokyo from Neon Genesis, with the buildings where they all lower into the ground and the blast plates come out. If I have time, I'll put that in there too. I took some quick video of that. But just had a great time seeing some masterful work. We also went, the days are starting to blur together, we also went to the Gunpla store, the main Gunpla store. That's the one where the life-size Gundam is standing outside of the store. There were kits there that were only available in that store. Mostly variations of more widely available kits, but like if you want, you could only get it in blue if you came to this store. So again, by that time the Gundams are all starting to blend together for me. We went to a district where we could go and look at what I grew up calling a dirt mall. Now it's a big mall where any person could rent out a space and bring their stuff and sell it. And there was a big company there called Mandarake. Looks like Mandrake when you see it written. It's Mandarake, and they had quite a few cubicles tied up. But I could spend weeks there just going through. There were stores that had whole hot toy collections of the hot toy figures, things like that. But I will also say, I was going to say, I will tell you, not big believers in central air conditioning there. So it was kind of stuffy. There was a limit to how much time you could spend in there without getting out and wanting to go get a breath of fresh air. But those kinds of shops I got a lot more out of than going to the stores. Seeing if I'm forgetting anything, I probably am. Probably forgetting a ton of things, but the food was wonderful. Had an actual ramen soup, what we get in the stores here. That styrofoam noodle that looks like a packed in brain cell. That's not ramen. This was actual. This was a hole in the wall restaurant. As a matter of fact, the title picture is taken of the three of us. In the Phil's on the left, Riley's in the center. I'm on the right holding a big mug of beer. That was a hole-in-the-wall restaurant that Riley pointed out for us, mom and pop type of shop, and had the best ramen soup. What all the stuff that they put in it. Also, we did some fancier meals. We went to a teppanyaki place where they cook it in front of you type of deal. It wasn't one of those flashy American things where they, toss the shrimp in your mouth like Benihana does. This was actual food, actual restaurants. Very good food the whole time. It wasn't as hard getting used to the time changes I was thinking it was going to be. Coming back was a breeze. Going over was probably the worst of it. Once I discovered the blackout shades in the hotel room, it got better because the sun starts coming up around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and the sky is already bright, and it wakes you up, and you think that it's much later than it actually is. In Tokyo, what they say is true. The people are nice. The streets are clean. Twice in the whole time that I was there did I ever hear somebody honk their horn in traffic. And the fact that you only heard it twice meant it's just much more civilized. Of course, they drive on the wrong side of the road, but that's not their fault. But beautiful, polite, almost sterile. I mean, clean, but almost to the point of sterility. Even the back alleys were clean. I think that's it. Let's enough rambling for me. I'll show you some pictures, and then I'm going to finish packing because I've got a show in Louisville that I've got to get to. And if I don't get this video loaded up tonight, well, by the time it's loaded, I'm already on the road. Or by the time it's set to post, I'm already on the road. So I hope if you follow the channel at all, I hope that you will say hi to me in Wonderfest. Like I said, I'm still kind of mentally unpacking everything, so I'm sure that in the weeks to come, I'll be deluging you with other things I just remembered. But for now, I've gone on long enough. Here are some pictures.
private island on Florida's eastern coastline. Located in the north-northwest of Cape Canaveral, facing the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my god.
The color choice.
the little tiny lithium battery. It's held in right in the front that powers everything. Wow.
回転するので、電源をこちらから取れ
Yeah,
ない。
he redid.
Right.
Looks very much like he redid all that rigging.
そうね。あ、磁石の。あ、
軸と磁石の組み合わせ。
oh
後ろ
wow.
は